Basra isn't a safe place to be right now if you're a woman. This is just some of the gruesome evidence that sits inside the computer of the man the Iraqi government has placed in charge of the Basra police now that the British have gone. Major General Jalil Khalaf is the first high-ranking official to speak out against the wave of killings. This was the sword used to behead a woman on September the 8th this year. Her body has yet to be identified. Children too have been targeted. Graffiti on a wall in Basra now warns women to dress modestly or there'll be consequences. In the eyes of the killers, any woman is acting immorally if she disregards an extreme vision of Islamic propriety.
This
is a very serious issue. It's terrifying. When I came to Basra, I looked at this and found out that over 40 women had been murdered, and the police record showed that the perpetrators were unknown, so I don't think the investigations were serious or sufficient. Many had been murdered along with their children, and their bodies were dumped in the street. Many people didn't take much interest in this issue. Even the families did not want to make a big fuss, either because they were scared of the killers or because they were worried about the scandal that followed. Women have become the biggest victims in Basra. That's why I'm leading a campaign against those evil criminals who represent the worst of the past and the present. They are twisted and full of hatred and ignorance. These criminals must be exposed by society. I find it astonishing that society has been indifferent to this. Where are the educated people and the champions of human rights and women's rights? Where are the religious people and the politicians? Why have people kept silent? I don't know.
By speaking out, the Major General is taking a risk. But then he's no stranger to violence himself. Since he's been in charge, he's survived no fewer than 20 assassination attempts by militias.
Fear is not a word in my vocabulary, but I do feel a great sense of responsibility here. Every time a woman or child is murdered in Basra, I feel a sense of personal guilt because I haven't been able to do my job properly and protect them.
This terrifying picture of a civil society falling apart is confirmed by a 30-year-old lawyer who spoke to us anonymously on the telephone from Basra. Before the war, she says, we weren't scared to go out or worried about whether we should wear makeup or not. We never worried about what to wear. She tells us of a female student she knows about who was shot in the legs because she was not wearing hijab, and of another young girl who was killed in the Al-Asha district of Basra because she was improperly dressed.
Women are being pressurized to leave their schools and universities. We as a society must stand up and protect our women in Basra and all over Iraq from this terrorism. It's a kind of physical and spiritual intimidation. Society must expose these criminals. I just can't find the words to describe them.
Perhaps it's unsurprising then that many Iraqi women now regard the 1960s and 70s as a happier, freer time. People like this 54-year-old woman who spoke to us on the phone. During the 60s when I used to go out, she says, I used to jump on a bus wearing a miniskirt. On a bus. Can you imagine that? How free we used to be. Most societies move forward, she says, but us, we're going backwards. Iraqi women have not just been forgotten, she says. We have no value in society. We have become nothing.
The British did not mean to create a mess here in Basra. The chaos came from the way they set up the security forces. They didn't do it correctly. The recruits for the police were chosen by political parties, which was wrong. Then the militias and political parties interfered with security services. Thousands of weapons and police vehicles were given by the British to the wrong people. Even civilians received handguns. There's so much work to be done here, but sadly the British didn't pay attention to this issue when they arrived here in 2003.
Given the degree of chaos and violence that remains in Basra, we asked Major General Khalaf what he would say to those British mothers whose sons have been killed in the line of duty. Would he say thank you, but your son died in vain? Or would he say thank you, your sacrifice has given us hope?
حقيقة لا أقول هذا ولا ذاك.
I would say neither. I have my own way to address these British mothers. Every mother who loses a son becomes stricken with grief, so I extend my condolences to every mother, be she Iraqi or British, who has lost a son. I will leave it for her to decide if her son has lost his life for a worthy cause or not. But what I would also say to her is, be patient.
وأشد على يدها وأقول لها أن تصبر وهذه هي الدنيا.